Hello guys, and welcome to this tutorial where we are going to do automapping with the latest version of the tiled editor, which is version 1.11.0. In this video, we're going to block out the word like this, and when we press Ctrl M, it's automatically going to fill out all the tiles for us. So let's get started. We need 2 tile sets for this, the basic blocks here, and also a tile set we can apply. And to make sure that the video will not be too long, I'm not going to do the bottom parts here for the slopes. You can download the zip file in the description with these 2 files included. Alright, let's get started. First of all, let's create some tile sets. You can call this block shapes and click on browse. And here, I'm going to select the block tile set PNG file and click on open. And it's 32 by 32 pixels, so we can click on save as. Then in here, I'm going to save this as blockshapes.tsx in here. So click on save. Next, click on file, new, tileset. Let's call this cave tileset. Click on browse. And I'm going to select the cave tileset here. And click on open. And click on save as. And let's save this as cave tileset.tsx here. So click on save. Now we have the tilesets. So next we need to create the map. So click on file, new, click on new map. And for simplicity, we're going to keep it to 30 by 20 tiles and click on OK. And to save some time, I'm going to block out the level here and we'll continue from there. Alright, so we can now press Ctrl S and we can save this as tilemapdemo.tmx in here. So click on save. Next, we need to create a rules map. So we can go here to file, new map, and click on OK. Then we can start by saving this, so press Ctrl S. I can create a new folder and call this rules. And go into the folder. And let's save this as autotilerules.tmx in here. And click on save. Now let's go and have a look at the documentation for this. We can see here that automapping has changed significantly in tile 1.9. It is now 10 to 30 times faster, and setting up rules is more intuitive, but it behaves differently from the old system in some ways. So I didn't really use the old system, but I did see some videos about it. Scroll down a bit. The first thing we need is to set up a rules file. Since I'm not using a project right now, I don't have access to the project properties. So I'm going to save my rules.txt in the same directory. So let's go and do that right now. And we can right click and just create a new document. I'm going to rename this guy to rules.txt and click on rename. So back to the documentation. We can see here that each line in the rules.txt file is either a path to a rule map or a path to another txt file which has the same syntax, for example, in another directory. We can also have a map file name filter and close in brackets and using star as a wildcard. Or we can have a comment which starts with hash or 2 forward slashes. Right now, we're just going to specify the path to the rule map. So we open up the rules.txt file, and in here, we need to go to the rules directory, and in Linux, you use a forward slash, and in Windows, you can use a backslash. So I'm on Linux, so I'm going to use a forward slash. And then you need to grab the name, copy that, and you paste it in here, like so. So we are going to the rules directory and to the autotilerules.tmx file. So press Ctrl S to save. You can close the text file down. Let's head back to the tiled editor. And let's continue reading in the documentation. So next, we need to set up the rules for the map. And we can see here that a rule map is a standard map file, which can be read and written by tiled, usually in TMX or TMJ format. A rule map can define any number of rules. At a minimum, a rule map contains 1 or more input layers describing which kind of patterns the working map will be searched for, and 1 or more output layers describing how the working map is changed when an input pattern is found. In addition, custom properties of the rule map, its layers and objects can be used to fine-tune the overall behavior or the behavior of specific rules. And we can see here that every continuous region of the tiles in the input and output layers is a rule. Tiles are considered contiguous if they are next to each other vertically, horizontal, or diagonally, which is 8-way connectivity. So let's have a look at how to define the inputs. You see here that input layers define the patterns of tiles that a rule will look for. These are tile layers, and their names must follow this scheme. We save an input, not, index, and name. After the first underscore, They will be the name of the target input layer. For example, input ground will look for tiles on a layer called ground. So the documentation is really not helping you very much, I think. So let's open a tile here. So let's have a look at our tile map demo TMX. And in here, the layer is named level. Make it with a capital L. Then this name has to be part of the input right here. So input underscore level. Now the underscore level is going to look for a tile map layer with the name of level right here on the tile map. So this is what that text means. We can see here if the working map includes multiple layers by this name, the bottommost one will be used. And if the working map does not contain the named target layer, the rule checks against a dummy empty layer. Alright? You can see here the not is optional, but if it's present, it's going to invert the layer's meaning. So instead of matching the tiles on the layer, tile will match anything but those tiles. And the index here is also optional. Indices on input layers allow you to create rules that match any of several completely separate inputs. Any inputs with the same index are treated as part of the same condition, and each different index is its own independent set of conditions. Any of these conditions being matched will count as a match for the rule. An index can be empty, or it can be any string that doesn't start with not and doesn't contain any underscores. And multiple input layers having the same name and index is explicitly allowed and is intended. Having multiple input layers of the same name and index allow you to define different possible tiles per coordinate as input, and any combination of those tiles will count as a match. So you can see here the input example. Let's say you want to match two tile areas, perhaps to randomize them. You might want to match any combination of grass and flower tiles, but only two tile rocks. You can achieve this like so. We have the input 1 and ground, and input 1 and ground again. And then we have input 2 and ground. We can see that the first two layers both have index 1, so automapping will match any combination of those grass and flower tiles. The last layer has the index 2, so its tiles are checked separately. This means that these inputs will match any part of the ground layer that looks like any of these. So we're not going to do all this stuff here. We're going to go a bit more simpler. So let's go down and have a look at the matching special cases here. And the first thing we need to do is to add the automapping rules tile set. So let's go and do that. So let's go to map and add automapping rules tile set. And we have the icons right here. So let's have a look at these guys. So the first rule is empty. This tile matches any empty cell. If used on an output layer, this tile will output an empty tile, allowing you to erase tiles with automapping. Next is the ignore rule, which is the star icon here. And this tile does not affect the rule in any way. Its only function is to allow connecting otherwise disconnected parts into a single rule, but it can also be used for clarity. Next, we have the question mark icon, which is the non-empty rule, which is used to match any non-empty cells. And then we have the other icon as well. And this tile matches any cell which contains a tile that is different from all the tiles used by the current rule targeting the same input layer. This includes empty cells, unless the empty tile is explicitly used elsewhere by the rule. And finally, we have the negate icon, and this tile negates the condition at a specific location, making other input layers with the same target layer name act like the input not, and vice versa, but only in that location, which can simplify your rules in some cases. Alright, let's head back to the editor, and let's start to map up some rules. You can see here in the tile map demo, I was using the block shapes here to create the level. So we have to use the same thing here in the input layer. And now we also need to add the output layer. So let's click here on new layer and click on tile layer and rename this to output underscore. And here you can name it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it output out. Select the input level layer. Let's start by creating the first rule, which is just going to be the simple block. So if you have a block and we have the question mark, which is going to check if there's a tile at that specific point. So we're going to check up, down, left, and right. Now, if this rule is true, select the output layer, and we're going to output the same tile, but it's going to be the K tile set tile, the black one here. And to see things a bit better, we can drag this down a bit, some transparency on it, and this guy as well. Now, if you go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M, you can see that all these blocks were blocked in and turned black. So let's continue with the next rule. So click on the input layer and go to the block shapes. For most things, except for the slopes, we're going to use the block here. So let's put this guy in here. We need one for up, down, left, and right. Then go to Automap rules and select the empty. So if a tile is empty above and the tile below exists, then go to the output layer. Then we know we're going to have this tile right here. It's going to mark that this is the ground you can walk on because there's an empty tile above, and we have a tile below. Press Ctrl S to save and go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. And then all these guys were filled in. Our next rule is going to be the bottom tile. So select the input layer, go to the Automap rules, and we're going to invert this. So it's going to be an empty tile below, and there's going to be a solid tile above. And then in the output, we're going to select the cave tile set and the bottom one right there. Press Ctrl S to save and go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. Go back to the auto tile rules. Let's add a tile to the left. Select the input level layer. Go to the Automap rules. Select the empty rule. And here, we're going to check if there's an empty tile to the left. And there's a solid above, to the right, and below. And if this is the case, we're going to go to the output layer and the cave tile set. That this is going to be the left wall here. Press Ctrl S to save. Go to the auto tile map and press Ctrl M. And we have now added this guy. Go back to the auto tile rules. In the documentation, we read that we need to have space between all of them. We need to move these guys a bit to the left. So we're going to use the rectangle tool here. And now select both layers. So hold down Shift and click on the input level layer. Then left click and drag to select the tiles. And press Ctrl X to cut. Ctrl V to paste. And you find the spot you want it on. And you press the left mouse button to put them in. And then you press the right button to go back to normal edit mode again. And select these guys. Ctrl X, Ctrl V to paste, and you press the left mouse button. Then to erase a tile, press E and click the left mouse button. And you press B again, which is this guy right here. And now select the input layer and put the tile in. Now let's set up the rules, and this is going to be the opposite. Let's select the empty tile, and it's going to be on the other side. And we're going to check if there's a tile above, to the left, and to the bottom. And if this is the case, we're going to change the output to the cave tile set and the right tile right here. Like so. Press Ctrl S to save. And go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. Next, let's add this tile here. Go back to the auto tile rules. Let's go to the input level. Select the block shapes. And we can put a few of these guys in. And let's go to the Automap rules. And we're going to select the empty tile. So if all 4 directions are empty, then we're going to go and place this single tile hanging in the air, like so. Now let's create these 3 here. Let's start with this guy. So Automatic rules. Select empty here and place it to the left, the top, and the bottom. But to the right, we're going to have a tile. And now you can see I forgot to move to the input layer. We can select them, press Ctrl X, go to the input level, and press Ctrl V and paste it in. And then for the output, go to the cave tile set, select this tile, and put it in like so. Next, let's create the middle tile, this guy right here. So go to the input level, Automap rules, select the empty, and around this tile, it's going to be empty at the top and the bottom. And to the left and right, it's going to look for a solid tile. And for the output, we're going to use the middle tile here, like so. Now let's add this guy as well. So let's go to input level and block shapes. Let's put him right in there and click on Automap rules. And this guy is going to look for an empty tile above, to the right, to the bottom, and a solid tile to the left. Click on the output out layer. Then we're going to draw this edge tile right there. Now let's press Ctrl S to save and go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. And we have now added these tiles up here. Next, let's change these tiles here as well. Go back to the auto tile rules. Select the input level and go to block shapes. And let's add a few more. 3 more like so. And go to Automap rules. And the first guy is going to check if it's empty above and to the left and to the right. and if there's a solid tile below. And if so, you're going to go to the output and the cave tile set. We're going to select this guy here and put him in like so. Next, let's do this guy, so we can just block them out here quickly. And then we have the final one down there. And go to the input level and the automap rules. Let's select the empty tile. So for the middle guy, it's going to be empty to the left and to the right. And it's going to have a solid tile above and below. And for the one at the bottom, it's going to be empty below, to the left and to the right, and a solid tile above. So let's press Ctrl S to save, and go to the tile map demo, and press Ctrl M. And we have now added these tiles here. Let's continue and add the corners now, these guys here. Let's go to the alter tile rules, select the input level layer. Let's start with the block shapes. We're going to add 4 of them, 1 for each corner, like so. Then go to automap rules. So for this, first we need to check if there are empty tiles in the top left corner, like so. And if we have solids down and to the right. Then in the output, we're going to have the top left corner tile. So we can quickly add the other guys as well. Like so. And go to the input level and go back to the automap rules. And let's block these guys out. This is the top right one, so it's going to be opposite to the top left. I'm going to check for solid tiles, both down and to the left. Next, we have the bottom left corner. So we need to check for empty tiles, like so. And if there's a solid tile above and to the right. And we do the opposite here for the bottom right corner. Like so. Let's press Ctrl S to save. And let's go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. And if we hide the level, we can see things are coming along nicely. Next, let's add these inner tiles. Let's go to auto tile rules. And let's block them out first. We need 4 inner corners. Then go to automap rules and select the solid tile rule. It's going to look for tiles in all directions first. So if I have a look at the cave tile set, we can see that the inner corners are always going to be surrounded by something. Click on automap rules and let's select the empty tile rule. Now let's go to the output first and add the tiles in. You're going to have the bottom left inner corner, the bottom right inner corner, the top right inner corner, and the top left inner corner. And let's go to the automap rules and select the empty tile one. Select the input level layer. And it's going to check here for the empty tile inside. So for this, in the bottom left, it's going to go inwards and check there. And the bottom right is going to check for an empty tile up here. And the top right corner is going to check for one here. And the top left corner is going to check for the empty tile down here. So let's press Ctrl S to save. Go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. And we have now added the tiles in here as well. Next, we're going to add the slopes. And we can start with this guy right here. So go to block shapes on the input level. And here, we're going to add solid shapes down here first. Like so. Then we need to block out the slopes like this. And we're going to add one down here as well. Like so. And in the output, we're just going to draw these tiles in. So let's go to the input level here. And now we need to set up the rules. And we're going to start with the empty tiles. So we know that above a slope, we're always going to look for empty tiles above like this. And we're going to look for solids to the right of the slope, like so. Then for the second part of the slope, it's going to be empty above. And we know that this guy is going to connect to the tile here. So we're going to check for a tile right there. And also one here. So these two guys can come together. Then for the other side, we're just going to do the opposite. This is just the flipped version of this guy. So it's going to look like this. And I added one too many here, so sorry about that. Gotta move this guy in like so. And let's set him up. Select the input level now. And let's draw. Like so. It's the flipped version of this guy. So let's press Ctrl S to save and see what we get. And press Ctrl M on the map. And we are now filling in the slopes as well. Let's go back to the auto tile rules. And let's add the sharper slopes as well. So make sure just the input level is selected and the block shapes. And let's go and create the slope. And let's add the solid blocks below as well. And let's go to our cave tile set. And let's add these guys in on the output layer. Like so. And then we can add the auto map rules now on the input level. And the steep slopes are simply going to look for the tiles above like so. Press Ctrl S to save. Now let's go to the tile map demo and press Ctrl M. And we have now filled in the slopes there as well. Next we have the special cases of the slope coming here and going down. We can see it's just black here. So we need to create a rule that's going to place the side tile here underneath here. So this is what we want it to look like. But right now it's black. So let's add those rules in as well. Make sure the input level is selected and select the block shapes. We're going to add these guys in as well again. And select the auto tile map rules. And here, we want to check if there's a solid tile below, a solid tile to the right, one tile next to this guy as well. And we check if it's an empty tile here just below the slope. And we're going to check if it's empty above. Select the output layer. And let's fill in the tiles. Now we can block these guys in as well while we're here. And go back to the input level. Select the auto map rules. And do the opposite. Like so. And press Ctrl S to save. Let's go to the tile map demo. Zoom out a bit and press Ctrl M. And we now fill in that gap there as well. And now of course we need to have some block shapes here as well. And press Ctrl M again to fill it in. Now the level is looking pretty nice, but we haven't tried this slope yet, so let's add it in. And press Ctrl M. And we can see that it fills in nicely here. Alright. Next you can see the problem here that all the tiles down here below and at the edges, they're not placed correctly. We can go back to the auto tile rules here. And on the input level, the auto map rules. And we can basically delete these four. And then select the output out. And we can then select this guy here, which is the ignore tool here. This tile does not affect the rule in any way. Its only function is to allow connecting otherwise disconnected parts into a single rule. But it can also be used for clarity, so I don't think this description is the best. If we select the output layer, and we add these four in here, and press Ctrl S to save, and go back to the tile map demo, and press Ctrl M, this solves the problem for us. So by using the ignore flag, we can actually trigger this to work in the way we wanted. Alright, this is how we use automapping in the latest version of Tiled Map Editor. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and see you in the next video. Bye for now.